Good Monday morning. So if you've been following this channel for a while, you've been noticing that I've been feeling being a little bit off lately. I've been missing uploading a couple of new episodes. You've been probably reading in between the lines of the tweets that I am not on the top of my game. And yeah, I am in a little bit of a rough patch, and I've quite frankly had a little bit of a time keeping my head above the water, so to speak. But I'm seeing the end, the light of the tunnel, so to speak, and no dark period that doesn't have something good and valuable come out of it. And there's been a lot of lessons, but there's one in particular that has been very, very useful to me during this period, and I would like to take the opportunity to share it with you. So here it is. It's very simple, really. You come up with a task that answers the question, what task would make today great? And then you make that task the theme of your day. I know that this sounds so simple that it's almost dumb. It's one of those sentences that might be like, oh, just be happy. But there's a lot to this sentence. What task would make today great? So that is what I'm going to spend today's video talking about. Only this sentence. What task would make today great? I am MPJ, and you are watching Fun Function. I better first give you some background to my situation. So we all have these things in our lives that provide us with a sense of structure. Might be a lot of things. It might be that you have a home, you have a family, you have a girlfriend, you have a spouse, you have a family, perhaps you have children, maybe have a job, maybe studies. Like you come into work every day and there's a Trello board. There are things that you need to do in the morning. You eat breakfast, you travel, you know how to travel to work, like that kind of thing. Like it provides you with this momentum all the time you have built up, and provides you with feedback and gives your day gives your day a feedback structure. You know kind of when the day has been going well and whatnot. And for me, of course, like this YouTube channel is a great sense of that feedback structure. I make a video every week. That's sort of part of my identity, and I know what to do every week. It's excellent. And of course I also know how to do it. I had a studio space because I'm right now moving my entire life from one city to another. So I'm relocating not just my home, but I'm also relocating my workplace. And I will be honest with you, this move has taken a much harder toll on me than I anticipated. I figured that I would be kind of fine when I initiated this, because I'm very happy about the entire thing, and conceptually, it's moving for love. I'm moving for a new and better studio space. I'm going to be working with David on site, which is amazing. I'm going to have an office with him, and I'm going to be returning to Stockholm, which is a city that I like a lot. But the thing is, what I didn't anticipate that oh, I'm getting a cold as well. Fantastic. Is that when you're moving your office and your home at the same time, and you are also the person responsible for relocating the office and finding a new space, and also, as in my case, also renting out your old apartment, that creates a profound sense of chaos, while almost all of your these core feedbacks, structure pillars of your life are like basically just crashing. They're crashing down because that's your intention. That's what I wanted, and because I'm building new ones, it's just that there's nothing to provide a sense of stability for me. There are some things, of course, but a lot of the sense of stability that I had is now gone. Well, a lot of my friends observed that I was like being stressed because, move is stressful. But the problem is that resting in this situation really doesn't help much because, partially because your anxiety is actually not from kind of like an inner place. It's from the fact that you need to do a lot of stuff. Otherwise, things are gonna go. So one of pretty much the only thing that really helps with anxiety is to attack the things that are causing the anxiety. And also, even if like you find like these small spaces for self-care, that's really hard to find when you don't really have these stable spaces. Like when I was moving between Stockholm and Gothenburg last time, when I was moving to Gothenburg, then I started working at Spotify, and like I had a nice desk and I had a nice computer, and I have work colleagues in like almost from the start, and that meant that I had like a kind of stability where I could kind of like, okay, now I'm going to work and I don't have to worry about like the apartment and shit. That is a separate mess. It provided me a sense of stability. So there's really no space for you to relax. So that led me to start musing on what is the engine of my day. And what I mean by that is, like, if everything else was removed, all of those stability things that we talk about, work or girlfriend or even family, or like if all of that did not exist. Like, imagine that you were the guy in Walden, Thoreau, just living in a cabin, and just writing or like and building your cabin in the woods, basically. Like, what routines to create stability in your life would exist if you didn't have like what you do in the morning and your normal commute and your normal Trello board? What stability would remain? You probably have very different from my life, but in my case, I identified a couple that I have had back and forth during the years, but like during this time I recommitted to them. And one of them was morning reading, like reading a book, not reading news, like doing that first thing in the morning. And just making a nice breakfast is something that I picked up many years ago from my brother, because it creates a very nice sense of safety. Battery ran out or something, camera shut down. There's a lot of things that need to like come crashing down in order for you to not make a decent breakfast. It's a very good, stable, secure thing to have. Also morning meditation, like guided meditation, using the Waking Up app by Sam Harris at the moment. It's like really good. Also like Headspace. Those are all good. They're very helpful. But if I'm being honest, like no matter if I like sleep very well or if I do my morning meditation or read a book and like it's still, my days can still like go like very wild in mood and energy level and direction. And one thing that I've found has been particularly good at determining whether or not my day turns out well or not is to ask myself what task would make today great, and then make that task the theme of my day. Okay, so how to do this? Let's talk a little bit about the specifics of doing this. Because the specifics are important. it's easy to just say that, oh, I'm gonna be a better chef, or I'm gonna exercise more, I'm gonna be more healthy this year, and vagueness tends to creep into those. It's important to be very specific when you want to make life changes. I have a friend who, her name is Anna. She's a cognitive behavioral psychologist, and she often asks this amazing little sentence, which is, "How will you practice this?" Whenever somebody says something vague, she goes like, "How will you practice this?" Which I find to be an excellent little question to ask yourself, to unvague your ambitions. First of all, it's very important that you pick one task that makes today great. Decide on that. I should be full disclosure, I stole like the concept of this question from the 5-minute journal, which has a bunch of questions, including and it specifies like 3 items that would make today great, which I find is like ludicrous amount. I rarely get 3 things done in a day in total, let alone things that are supposed to be the ones that are the criteria for making the day great. So time is limited, you get very little things done, things go awry. Set your goals as low as possible, and focus on just pick one that will make today great. If we're just talking one task, like a lot of you will think, well, does it have to be the optimal task then? Do I have to spend time figuring out which is the best task I could possibly do of all the things in the known cognitive universe space of my world? No, you just need to pick one that is good. If it helps, like, you could just redefine the question to be like, what would make today good, or what would make today decent, what would make me feel okay about this day. Another thing that is worth clarifying is that it's also not the only thing you do. You do more than one thing this day, of course. Like it would be absurd to just do one task, but there is a great value in figuring out one thing that would be a high impact thing to do, because it kind of like zooms you out a little bit and keeps you from being caught up in all this busy work. Just pick one task that is, hey, this seems very decent, this seems like it would make a good impact on my life, would make things better, or make things better for somebody else, and I'll just decide that this is my focus, and I'm going to be pushing other things aside and creating a space for this task. This is a task that I've decided that would make today great, and I'm gonna focus on it. And you will find yourself during the day challenging yourself, is this really the best thing I could possibly do? And it probably isn't. There probably is a better task. It's just that for now you will give yourself the freedom, or like the you will provide yourself the service, the benevolence of access, just deciding that this is the task of the day. Maybe it's, I don't know, maybe it's not the best one, but you just decided that it is. Today it is. So maybe in reality it really isn't the optimal one. Perhaps there is a better one to do tomorrow. But today we decide that this is the most important thing to do. That's what we're gonna believe, and that's what we're gonna focus on. And it's okay if we're wrong, because this is just one day. Might make a better decision about our prioritizations tomorrow. Make it the first thing you do. Does it have to be the first thing? No, not really, because the thing with these kinds of tasks is that they are often not super urgent. They're often tasks that are important, but they don't have to be done today. It's just like, oh, I need to finally progress on my book, or finally go exercise. Like, it doesn't need to be done right now, but it's still like super important to get done. But usually you do have some bullshit that you need to do that morning, like send that invoice off, or make that phone call, and it takes 5 minutes. You do it the first thing, and then you get on to your what would make today great task. But there is benefit to having it be the first thing if you can, or at least make it as early as possible in the day. The benefit of that is, the benefit of having it first is that it creates like this sense of relief. Like once you're done with it, your day is now great. It's you've won the day already with the first task. You've made a high impact this day, and you can kind of forgive yourself for not being this getting things done David Allen bullshit. Really hate that book. It's basically, I think it's the productivity equivalent of anorexia Photoshop models giving teenagers horrible body dysphoria ideals. Nobody can actually use that book unless you have, I don't know. I can't. My point being is that if you don't get those 4,000 tasks done every day, you're okay, because you have decided that hey, this is the task that is the one that makes today great. That's what I believe today. That is my absolution. That is my benevolence, my self-care, my productivity allowance, and I'm fine now that I made this. And this opens up the day in such a nice way, because now everything else is a bonus. Everything else is just you. You are now free to act and breathe. And hey, maybe I'll do this, maybe I'll do that, or maybe I'll go grab a coffee with a friend. Maybe I feel like working more and being productive, or maybe I feel like just strolling around the block and grabbing a burger. So I talked a little bit about morning habits before, but I found that the question is not, it's suitable as an evening habit. And the reason for that is that it's good for dissolving worry. Whenever like evening approaches or like night approaches, I start like thinking about like, oh my God, what should I be doing tomorrow? And it's good to have that cleared out of your head, to decide that, like, okay, tomorrow's gonna have that direction. And that is also good when you wake up in the morning, because it makes you wake up with a sense of direction and in the back of your head. Like when you wake up, it's only on a subconscious level, but you kind of internalized where this day is gonna take you. Evening habit, yeah, but you should not do it like right before bed, because I found that just creates your brain rolling around the thing. It's better to do it like in early evening when you're closing off your day, sort of, and leave a couple of hours at least between the writing of like the answering the question and actually going to sleep. That I found that to be very good trade. And that is what I wanted to talk about today. Just the practice that I found of asking myself what task would make today great, and then making that the theme of the day. And like talking a little bit about like nuances of that and how I do it. You might do it differently, or might not do it at all. It might not work for you. I'm just sharing something that has been very, very helpful to me as a kind of pillar in the sense of chaos that has been in my life for the last couple of months. You have just watched an episode of Fun Function. I release these every Monday morning, 0800 GMT. At least I'm supposed to. Like I almost always do it. But you will forget that. So you can subscribe by clicking here, or watch another episode right now by clicking here. I am MPJ, and until next Monday morning, stay curious.